Welcome back to the Boot Report, episode number 14. My name is Noah Cavanaugh. Today's video is going to be all about the 50,000 subscriber giveaway, one new boot in the shop, and of course, all of your questions. Today is a full Q&A podcast. Get ready because there are some juicy ones. Let's jump into the weekly news really quick with the 50,000 subscriber giveaway. As always, thank you again for being here. Thank you for being subscribed. Thank you for liking the video and commenting your thoughts down below. I very much appreciate it. So for the 50,000 subscriber giveaway, we are going to give away 3 pairs of whatever football boots you want. They have to be current and they can't be limited edition. Unfortunately, because of how many boots are on the market, it's going to be hopefully really easy for you to get what you want. Obviously, an F50 leather model or the Hypervenom Regen, that stuff is totally out of the question because they're going to be impossible to find and really, really expensive. So 3 pairs of top end boots, and then another winner will get a top end football, or you can get a couple different mid-tier footballs maybe at the price of a top-end one, and then we're going to do a full top-end kit as well. So 5 winners, and the way that you enter is following me on Instagram at noah.cavanaugh, subscribing to my YouTube channel. Then I will be posting, as of the filming of this video today, I will be posting basically a giveaway post that has these instructions in it. I want you to comment your current favorite pair of football boots. Can be anything, but it has to be a current model, 2025 model. So comment your favorite thing and then repost that giveaway post and tag me. Otherwise, I won't see it. So comment, tag, and repost. And that's all I need you to do. And then in 1 week, so I'm going to post on June 16th, my time. And then on the 23rd, a week later, which is Monday, I will take down that post and I will have everybody who has commented reposted that on their story and tagged me in it. I'll have a whole spreadsheet and we'll go through a Instagram live and we'll just do it that way because it'll be really easy. But this is for the YouTube 50,000 subscriber giveaway. So ability for Instagram followers as well to get in on the action. But again, follow me on both platforms and then you have to interact with that Instagram post. So that's how we're going to do the 50,000 subscriber giveaway, just like we did the 100K on Instagram as well. Really quickly, section new in the shop. There is only one boot that I have this week because I am actually leaving in about 24 hours to my 70.3 Ironman up in Cairns, like I mentioned in last week's episode. But I wanted to get my hands on a pair of the brand new Messi edition. Now, I'm going to basically not talk about my thoughts on this boot. I'm just going to show you that I have them, other than to say I think these look better than the regular edition model. So this is or not regular edition, but this is the kind of the OG one. And I like this look, F50 Prime vibe. And then these ones just look more F50 Tune It. And I actually think these look a lot better. I think this colorway is also really simple and it's really elegant and very attractive looking. But yeah, new F50 review dropping very soon. Okay, section 2, audience questions. Now, these questions were submitted on Instagram. I did 2 different kind of Q&A things on Instagram. And these are all the questions for this podcast. We have something like 60 questions, so buckle up because there are some really good ones. For context, if you asked a question and I didn't put it in there, it means that you were a double of somebody else's question and that person it doesn't really matter, but your question will be answered, but I'm not going to have multiple questions that are all the same, if that makes sense. Emmanuel asks, do you believe in mentality edges like look good, feel good, and that sort of nature? So look good, feel good, play good is kind of the vibe. That's my high school coach used to say that all the time. And at first I was sort of like, why does it matter? Let's just be out here playing footy. But as I got into my professional football experience, especially maybe in the tail end of college and then into the professional game, yeah, I am a fan of looking how you want to look. I am not a fan of how my high school coach said it, which was essentially everybody has to match perfectly, no tape on the wrists, no hairbands, and like everyone has to be the same one team. He was very kind of weird in that way, even to the point where he was having us do, like the open the gate, close the gate type of dynamic stretch. He wanted us to be in sync the whole time because he thought it was like team unity and stuff. And I was like, every pro team I've ever seen ever doesn't do that because everyone warms up on their own scale. I'm not trying to take a crap on my high school coach. He was a really, really smart guy, great teacher, And as a soccer mind, I've seen better. That's no hate. Just again, as a footballing mind, he wasn't the most amazing, but I have a lot of respect for him. But that message put into the context that I used it for, which was if I like the way I look, for me, it was a pair of boots and then the cutoff socks and the grip socks and the wrist tape. And that's what I liked. And that's what helped me kind of get into my mojo and feel good. And then I felt like I played well when I actually felt like I looked good, when, you know, the team, whatever team I was playing on, made me wear the whole tube sock instead of wearing cut off sleeves above a grip sock. I never felt like I played as well because I didn't like the way they looked and all that stuff. Maybe that's weak mentally, but I don't know. Look good, feel good, play good. I think if you can take that in your own context, 100%. Christian asks, how many boots do you keep forever as opposed to how many do you sell after reviewing them? How do you pick which ones you keep and which ones you sell? This is a great question. So this is going to depend on a lot of factors. So if you take any given year, right? So back in 2024, last year, there were, let's say for the sake, I know there was probably there were probably more than this in terms of, or actually there's probably less than this in terms of new models, but let's say there were 20 new models, right? 20 new generations of Vapor, Tiempo, F50, blah, 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 right? All these new generations. Once a new generation comes out, I will usually try and keep at least one of whatever generation that is, just to have as sort of a way to hold context in my brain, because I think it's really easy for us to get into either to positivity bias, which is remembering something that wasn't that great in a really positive way. So for me, the nature of the channel and who I work with and stuff now sort of dictates that I usually get the launch colorway just because I'm given it for free. And so if the launch colorway is really good, like the Vapor 16s up here, which you can't see. So the Vapor 16s in that blueprint colorway, those ones are the only Vapors that I've had on the channel because they are they're still one of my favorite Vapor colorways to have released. I got those, did the play test, did the 1 month review, all that stuff. And that's the one I'll keep. And I will get to this later. There's another question about the Vinny Jr. Vinny flies. And the reason I don't get those is unless it's a colorway that I literally cannot not have in my collection, if that makes sense, then usually what I'll do is I'll just keep the launch colorway. And then in the case of the GX, for example, I have a pair of the, I really love these kind of cyan blue color. And so that's the GX2 that I'll keep probably forever, as opposed to keeping all the launch colorways, which I had 3 of. I had FG GX2, AG GX2, and FG Luna 2. And I've since sold all of the GX and Luna launch colorways because I just don't like the color as much. So usually what I do is I try to keep one of every generation in my favorite colorway. So that's kind of the simple answer there. DMLFC asks, if you could combine any sole plate with any upper, what would they be? There's another question down later that's asking about a Frankenstein boot. So a boot that I can really combine. So I figured I'll answer this one as it has to be from the same brand. And then I'll answer the other one as it's any brand, any amalgamation, homologation of whatever I want. So I came up with 4 that I think could be really, really cool. So Morelia Neo 4 and the Alpha sole plate. So just like the Innovation Pack, but I don't like the Beta upper. I'd rather have had the regular edition Neo 4 upper with that Alpha sole plate. That would have been amazing. Also with Mizuno, I want a Morelia 2 with the Alpha sole plate. So we have the DNA, this beautiful pair of football boots, which is obviously the Morelia 2 with the Neo 4 and Neo 4 Beta sole plate. But I want to see this beautifully soft, supple upper on the Carvo midsole and the triangular stud outsole. I think that would be sick. And then 2 from Nike that I came up with that I thought were really good. I want to see, this one is a little bit, it's actually quite similar to the stock model or the regular model, but the Tiempo Legend 5 upper with the Tiempo Legend 9 sole plate. So it's going to be a lot lighter weight. And if they were to keep that beautiful kind of honeycomb structure on the inside of that Tiempo 5, I think that would be such a cool boot to wear. And then I want Tiempo 4 Elite. So this guy with the Hypervenom 3 sole plate, just because I love this upper. This leather is so soft and so nice. And then I want to take out the carbon fiber, which has the majority of the weight, ironically enough, in this boot. And then I'd want to put the hyper reactive sole plate from the Hypervenom 3 that we of course got on the Phantom 1 regen. So those are kind of the ones that just popped into my brain. I'm sure there are other ones, but I actually had thought about doing the 2010 F50 upper on the Carbitex insert Speedflow sole plate. That would have been really cool. But then I was like, oh, the white ones over here are close enough to that it doesn't really make all that much sense. So we already really have it. So anyway, V Besh 14 asks, any chance you could help me get a job at Flower City Union? No, because I don't think unwarranted handouts are how life should work. I think you should earn what you get. And if you are somebody who, let's say you have a rock star resume and you want to get a job at Flower City as a videographer or work in the back office or whatever, I think you need to prove yourself to those people. So maybe it's working for free for a month or applying or contacting everybody in the organization. Because if you're just going to go through me, that doesn't do anything. Like a reference is awesome, but I don't know you. And so I'm not going to refer you to anybody because I don't know you. So that's how I would operate as a person. And I also don't expect anybody who doesn't know me to put in any sort of good word or bad word because they don't know me, right? And so as soon as you get to know somebody, that's when I feel like that person has the ability to, and really the credentials to be able to say, hey, I know this person, I can vouch for them, they're awesome, hire them. So no. Ooh, this is an interesting, Duro-Rico. Most anticipated boot release that you have in your radar for the year. So I'd say the number one was the Hypervenom remake for me. I think because I love Hypervenom 3 so much and because I really, really loved Hypervenom 1 so much, this was one of those boots that was so exciting to me. And if they end up producing more colorways, then amazing. If they don't, then I'm glad I have both colorways because I really like this boot. And I think it is an incredible performer. The other one is the one that I leaked a couple weeks ago, which was the Leather Predator 25. There are some leaks that we're going to basically get the 25 variant of the Rotero. Really, the only reason why I'm saying this one is because number one, I've already talked about it, but number two is I really, really loved the one right above my shoulder, the David Beckham, and the Rotero, same boot, different colors. And I think if you had that same boot, but just with a little bit less grip, maybe it would be something interesting to people. I don't know. I think it's going to be a really amazing boot, particularly if they have a similar shape and a similar feel to that upper. And then the one that released, the Phantom 6. And I don't say that because I am on any sort of hype train of the Hypervenom 1. I am a player who historically has worn Phantoms. I've worn every generation of Phantoms since the Hypervenom 1. And I've worn them almost exclusively as my only pair of football boots until the point where I started maybe senior year in college or in my pro game when I started to, actually it was more pro, so 2018 maybe, when I started to really collect a bunch of boots, because before that time I couldn't really afford it. So that was the way that that would say Phantom 6. I'm not holding my breath, but in terms of what I get excited for is I'm really kind of always biasly excited about the Phantom series because the Phantoms have always fit me in the past, or at least most of the generations have, and I get really excited about those boots. So that's cool. But we'll see. Maybe it's going to be sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. Aristotle. Okay, spelled interestingly. Opinion about the Messi F50 redesign and also the leaked Leather Predators. Okay, just covered the Leather Predators, and also in terms of the Messi redesign, as I said before, I think these look better than the original version, and I'm not going to talk about how I think they feel or fit or anything like that because you'll have to stay tuned for the review, and also I haven't done it yet, so that's also a thing. So I don't really want to talk about it if I haven't actually tried it, because for me, as much as I love the look of it, if it doesn't perform well, then it's going to get a bad review, regardless of whether the upper is stiffer or not stiffer, or there's more grip or less grip, or the sole plate's changed or whatever, right? Yoshi asks, who made a better remake slash update for 2025? Mizuno DNA or Nike Hypervenom Regen? So look, this isn't a remake. This is just an update. So I think instead of, okay, whatever. I don't really care about how you ask the question. Basically, they're trying to get me to compare the Hypervenom 1 and the DNA. I have spoken about this in, I think, a couple different, maybe I spoke about this on last week's podcast. This is the boot that I think is just objectively probably going to fit more people. And I think more people are just going to find it to be really enjoyable to wear, particularly if you didn't grow up in this era of football boots. And I would say there's like a 10-year, 15-year period of players now between the ages of, let's see, 2014, 13. I was 14 years old. No. Whoa, what am I talking about? No. I was 19 when these came out. So if you were anywhere between 15, which would put you at 25. So let's say like 20, 23, 24, 20, let's say like 25 to 40 years old with these. Anybody outside of that cohort of current age, pick this one. If you're in that cohort, I think you're going to like this one more just because of the nostalgia of the boot. But overall, these are both absolutely fantastic products. And funny enough, both of them need runner's knots. So I've already poked a hole in that one, as you can see. And then I will be doing a video just on shorts and on Instagram about poking an extra hole in this model because I think it needs a rework of, they need to go a little bit further back in terms of the hole punch. So good question though. Tony asks, what made you start reviewing boots? This is a good question. So I started reviewing boots. I think the first boot review I did was either Blackout Phantom Venoms or the GT1 in black and pink. It was one of those two. And I remember, so I've always had an obsession with football boots, like have always gone, we had a soccer store that was 10 minutes from my parents' house growing up. So I used to go there almost weekly to see what they had, what was new, try them on in hand, or get them in hand and also try them on. And so I've tried on almost every generation of football boots since like 2005, 2006, probably. So when I was like 10 years old, I used to stack soccer.com magazines in my bathroom as like toilet reading. And that was just the thing that I loved. I think my parents still have like a whole stack of stuff from all the way back from like 2008, 2009. Because I remember the magazine that was pre-2010 World Cup that started advertising the Jabulani ball, the F50s, and even before then as well. So those were, yeah, I've always had an obsession. And then when I started my social media, and being serious about social media as a business and as a method of gaining followers for the business and etc., that was 2020. And then I'd say probably 6 months into 2020, maybe at the end of 2020, I did my first boot review because I was like, oh, I just got these new boots. It'll be good for content and we'll see what happens. And it did really, really well. And people I got DMs on Instagram and messages in the comment section that were like, hey, like you really have a thing for this. Like, why don't you just do boot reviews, or why don't you stick to boot reviews? And that kept sort of being the message from the point that I was doing day in the life, skill videos, game analysis, all this stuff pertaining to being a professional footballer and living as sort of a lower level, lower division professional. And then I did the boot review thing over here. And then slowly, the boot thing started to expand to be my entire channel pretty much. And then that stuff started getting a lot smaller. And so I'd say by the time, I think 2023 was the year that I went 100% into boot reviews or into boot content. But yeah, it just sort of happened naturally because it's what I loved already. And as much as I love football and training and skills videos and all that stuff, like the boot stuff I really love it. And so I feel like I give a more authentic version of myself in the boots than I do with other types of content. Seba asks, Copa Pure 3 or Predator? Where do we have them? Here we go. Copa Pure 3 or Predator for wet weather. Now, as far as an upper that's going to be more water resistant, that's your hybrid touch upper from the Pred. But really what matters here is what actually fits your foot. Because if you are going to try to get these, but they don't fit you, and these ones fit you, and these ones still are going to get a little bit more wet, then I'd rather you buy these ones and deal with a wet foot than buy these ones and have issues with blood flow and all sorts of other issues that happen from getting a pair of football boots that isn't meant for your foot. Tony asks, one boot you haven't reviewed yet but would like to. All right, this is a shameless plug for a video that Kelvin and I have been working on for about a month now. That is my top, I think it's 7 or 8 Grail boots. And these are boots that I'm going to tell you 2 of them. One of them is actually not on the list, but it is a one that I want to review. And the Grail boots are this video is basically going to be about the boots that I don't own yet, but will splurge for if I find one in my size for the right price. These are boots that I just want for my collection. I don't even care if I never wear them. I just want to own a pair. One of those pairs is the Morelia Ultralights, the gold and white ones. And then the second pair that I'd like to review but haven't is actually just so out of left field, but I always had a soft spot for, and I never actually owned, the Puma Evo Power Vigor. And I'm really annoyed that I never had a pair because I really love the Evo Power 1.1 and 1.2, but the Vigor just escaped me because I think I moved over, that was in college in 2017 or 18 maybe, and that's when Hypervenom 3 sort of came to light. And so I was wearing Hypervenom 3 at the time. So anyway, those are the 2 boots. Benji asks, is it worth buying the Phantom 6 or am I better off getting the GX2 on sale? Whichever one fits your foot better. I don't really know. And also the Phantom 6 isn't released yet, so you might as well get the GX2 on sale. Plus, I wouldn't be able to answer that question until I've actually tried and tested the Phantom 6, so your guess is as good as mine, my guy. Christian asks, would you wear the 2010 F50 remake on AG? Worried about the durability if I go that route. Well, if you've watched any of my F50 content, you'll know that I have worn it exclusively so far on AG. So let that answer your question. Christian asks again, how much more wear will a pair of FG boots have when used on AG compared to AG boots? Probably like 30 or 40% more. So I'd expect if you were to wear the same FG pair of boots on FG until they broke or separated or whatever, save for a freak accident, and then you wore the same pair of boots on AG, I'd expect the AG boots to wear down the boots probably about 30 or 40% faster. So a lot faster. AG just destroys football boots. And that's the reason why the majority of my play testing happens on AG, because number one, it happens faster. And number two, it gives you a real world example of the most sort of brutal environment you could play in. Because if you get your boots muddy and you get your boots, wet or whatever, that's not really like a brutal environment for the boots. A really harsh training surface will break your boots more than any wet weather condition, any muddy condition at all, because those are the muddy and rainy stuff is like a soft material, whereas the AG is very hard and coarse, and those rubber elements are very harsh on the materials of the boots. So yeah, 30 to 40%, I'd guess. That's my sort of ballpark. That's not scientific or anything. Jonas asks, are you going to buy the Nike Vinifly or Puma Ultra and Unisport collab? No, for the reasons that I said before, which is I already have one of these in my favorite colorway so far, and I already have the Vapors in my favorite colorway so far, so I don't need to buy. The Vinifly looks really cool. The Puma Unisport collab looks okay. It's not my favorite. It's a little obnoxious in my opinion. Not to say that that's not a judgment of a player who wears those. It's just I don't like the design as much. The Viniflies are class. They look really cool, but I just don't want to buy them because it's money out of my pocket. That why would I buy those if for content it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. SZY Mond. I don't know how to pronounce that. Simond? Is that how you say it? What can you do if the boots you use give a sort of bunion effect on your toes? They might be the wrong boots for you if that's what they're doing, but I would probably recommend a little like toe separator. So you can either wear the like Tabio grip socks, have like the fingers, so you can kind of put your toes in there during the day, so they sort of have a little bit more space between them, which can help a little bit. Or you can wear everything up to like a proper one of those like straps that goes around this part of the foot, and then it's got like a mechanism that like separates your, I guess it would be this one, but like the big toe from the rest of it, so that your feet are a little bit more splayed. But honestly, that's a question for a podiatrist, because I am not a medical professional. CV3 Rob says, what made you fall in love with soccer and favorite game performance you had? That's a good question. I don't know if there's like a particular moment that made me fall in love with the game. I feel like to me it was just always the most fun thing that I ever did. Like, I enjoyed hanging out with friends, but I almost enjoyed going out and playing with a football and shooting and juggling and playing in the street more than I did just going over to a friend's house and playing video games. Like, it always was something that I enjoyed and I loved doing for no kind of particular reason other than it was like constantly solving problems on the pitch and doing things that were mentally and physically stimulating, which was really cool. Two games that I have kind of come to mind in terms of favorite games. In terms of performances, there've been a lot of really good performances that I've put in over my career, and that's how I was able to get to the professional level. But in terms of enjoyable games where I just felt like everything just sort of worked, there was a game in preseason in New York when we were in college, my senior year, that I scored 2 goals in as a left back. And I think that game ended 3-2 or 4-3 us or something like that. And I remember that game I just felt like I was in flow. I scored a free kick and I scored a rocket from like 40 yards out. And that game just felt so good. I'll see if I can put up the video up on screen as I'm talking about this. And then the second one was actually the semifinal of the season tournament, end of season NISA tournament, that got us into the final, which we ended up winning in 2023 against Chattanooga. It was in front of like 5,000+ people in Chattanooga. We won in a PK shootout. I was, I think, first or second in the list and scored. I was one of only 2 guys to score because their goalkeeper and our goalkeeper kept saving a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I put in a winning goal, and that was just an amazing game. And I can't say that those 2 performances were necessarily my best performances, but those 2 games were just insane. Those experiences were so cool. Cleats Archive asks, any chance reviewing takedown models? I have talked about this a lot in recent Instagram stuff and in YouTube stuff. So the reason I do not do takedown models is, number one, I don't have the time, because I am, unlike pretty much every other reviewer on the market, I'm doing long-term testing of pretty much every single pair of football boots. So that's not a shout at anybody. Don't get your panties in a bunch. The way that I choose to test boots is incredibly intense. And so I only really have so much time to test 15 to 20 pairs of boots every year, right? So if I'm going to do a 1-month review on 20 different pairs of football boots, potentially even more, depending on how many releases there are, there's more than 20 months in a year. So you imagine the compounding effect of how many, like the volume of just top end boots. And I would say that you can call me whatever you'd like if you think I'm not a purist or whatever, but I just don't enjoy takedown models all that much. I don't think I'm a tech nerd. I love looking at what the latest and greatest new tech is, and that's what I choose to do. So I don't really care what the takedown model is. I'm sure there are some really good ones, and I actually have had a couple in hand and stuff. Obviously, if I go to Ultra, I can go and just like try them on or whatever. And there are some takedown models that are really, really good. I just choose not to review them because honest to God, I just don't have the time. Bryson says, would you rate the Copa Pure 3 to the Tiempo or any of the boots in its category? Okay, so there's 2 different categories you can kind of put the Copa Pure 3 up against. So Copa Pure 3 being a pretty balanced neutral sole plate, the comfort frame with a fusion skin upper that is basically a calfskin leather in the forefoot and then sort of this synthetic leather in the midfoot. It feels impressively like kind of one package. And it's really the closest thing we have to what the Tiempo used to be. That's not a knock on the Copa necessarily, but it's, that's kind of what it is. Now, you theoretically could compare it to the Tiempo or the Puma King, which are kind of the other two what used to be leather models that now aren't. Out of the big three brands, this is the only one that actually has leather anymore. So I would say in terms of the comparison between the Tiempo and the King, the Copa Pure 3 is superior in basically every way. The only thing that I would say either of the Tiempo or the King has over this Copa is you could argue that the heel area of the King is better than the heel area of the Copa. That's been my experience. I think this heel area is really, really good. This ortholite padding, full suede, really neutral, but also really grabs your heel. Fantastic heel. The rest of this boot, it's okay. The Tiempo is shocking. So in terms of how it compares with those two boots, blows it out of the blows both of them out of the water for the most part. The more complicated question is when you have to now compare it with all the leather models on the market, which is the Mizunos, the Adlers, the Asics, the Athletas, etc., etc. In my opinion, the Copa Pure 3 doesn't really hold a candle to any of those boots, especially the K-leather models. You put this up against a Morelia Neo 4, no one's going to choose this. No one, really. Like if you get the right size, the Morelia Neo 4 is remarkable. Morelia 2, same idea. DS Lite X55, same idea, right? All these boots, in my opinion, are superior to this. So this becomes an interesting place in the market where it's better than all the mainstream stuff, but it's less good than the stuff that's a little bit harder to get. And do you go get the non-limited stuff? Anyway, yeah. So that's how I would compare it. Vetri, how do you pronounce that? What would be the most modern equivalent of the X Speedflow 0.1 and best place to buy old boots? So the best place to buy old boots is usually just boot dealers on Instagram. You can use places like StockX or GOAT, which are websites, and they do like validation testing, or they have, these are verified, et cetera, et cetera. But I have heard that those sites occasionally miss the mark, and they do unfortunately send a fake pair. I haven't heard it very often. I've heard it like once or twice from GOAT. StockX I've used several times and they've been awesome. Their prices seem to be, in terms of, if you looked at like a meter, like a little meter thing, and on the edges you had, wow, this is a really good deal, and wow, this is too expensive. They tend to sit in the reasonable range for a pair of retro football boots. They seem to be in this higher range. So just to be aware. But I would honestly, the majority of the boots that I purchase that aren't that aren't given to me for free or at a heavy, heavy discount, I get from an Instagram dealer. So that's the way I would go. And then in terms of X Speedflow 0.1, I would say, honestly, these are the two boots that came to mind for me. The Messi's is probably the closest, even though the Speedflow is a lot thinner. And then the Tasian synthetic from the Skechers Razor is very, very good. And it's very thin and sort of has that like really thin, but stretches like a little bit, almost like a rubber band, like the Speedflow upper did. So those would be kind of the two ones that popped into my head. Alessio asks, obscure boot that retrospectively you rate more now than you did back when they released. For me, it's like any Vapor ever, pre-Vapor 13, because I knew from a really young age that I had wide feet. That was like pretty much the way that I wore T90s and Phantoms and Copas and whatever, and Predators. So when a Vapor launched, I was always really excited and I was super pumped to see what the boot ended up being. But I was always like, oh, I don't rate those because I don't fit in them. Whereas now I feel like looking back at Vapor 11, Vapor 10, Vapor 9, Vapor 8, like all these Vapors that I really wanted to wear and be comfortable in, I would rate them way higher. Like Vapor 11, I don't think I even tried on when they came out because I was like, I know they're not going to fit me. So why would I even bother? That was also an era when Hypervenom 1 was out and et cetera, right? So some boots that I already love. So I almost didn't even care about Vapor 11, whereas now I look back on it and I'm like, nah, that boot was sick. And I just didn't, it wasn't on my radar because it didn't fit me. Daniel asks, should I get the Beta Elite or Alpha Elite? Whatever fits your foot the best. And they both fit pretty much, not the same, but they fit pretty similar. Alpha's slightly wider in the midfoot, Beta's slightly wider in the forefoot, but they're built on the same last, so the sizing is the same and all, et cetera, et cetera. Kim asks, what nose strips do you use? Breathe Right, which is just the ones I get at my local, convenience store, basically. Tony asks, best boots for narrow-footed players. Shameless plug for my football boot size guide, which has now been updated for Q3. So all of the latest and greatest football boots are on there, plus a little indication of forefoot, midfoot, and heel area in terms of how wide they are. So go download it. It's totally free for anybody who wants it. And you can download it and see for yourself which boots are narrow in which areas of the foot you are narrow in. GTX AANT, who do you think deserves the Ballon d'Or? I'm going to say there's an argument to be made for Dembele, but I think it should be this is a good question. I think it should be Lamine. The reason I say that is because, number one, we are watching a phenom in real life. It's like watching... It's probably how some people felt about watching Messi back in the day. And there's a question later on that's a comparison to Messi, which I'll get into later because I have my thoughts about that. But I think Lamine, his ability to be not even a legal adult in any country and still absolutely torch every top end left back on the entire planet is ridiculous. He crushed it in the Euros, absolutely blew everybody out of the water, has been doing it for club, has been doing it for country. The dude is a menace. And he's only 17, which is crazy. So that's who I would pick. Dembele is probably number 2. And I would say, Salah has been amazing this year. Who else has been really good this year? Yeah, those are probably my top 3, maybe. Yeah. Josh asks, how do your feet go trying on and breaking in so many boots? Surely they're battered. Yeah, since now getting into so many pairs of boots on a regular basis, I got to tell you what, my feet are so calloused. I don't get blisters anymore, knock on wood, but I actually don't get blisters anymore. Hot spots in boots barely bother me. My feet are essentially bulletproof at this point in terms of, I can tell when a boot doesn't fit me, of course, but in terms of getting destroyed, it doesn't really happen anymore because they're I just go through so many boots and I have so many calluses at this point. So yeah, good question though. WKH126, some news saying Mizuno will also stop using K-leather in 2027. What are your thoughts? I don't know if that's true or not, so I will not comment. Vareen asks, why do you get excited to play soccer? I don't know. Similar to the what do I love about footy? It's just sort of this feeling that I get when I'm out on pitch. I love playing in different pairs of boots with a ball, with, shooting on goal. It's just stuff that's really enjoyable. It's physical. It feels good. You get a really nice exercise high afterwards. It's just all the best things. And it's just a beautiful game to watch. So I don't know. It's sort of indescribable to me, just how I feel about it. I know that it's a positive emotion behind it. I am not going to be something 007. Thoughts on increasing number of football tournaments as a fan and as a footballer? No. Absolutely not. This is one of the things that makes me really annoyed about professional soccer. When fans, media outlets, people who want to make money off of the backs of pro footballers, and admittedly, especially at the top level, who are playing all the games, they're making a lot of money, more than most people ever do. I still think you have to consider the fact that these are human beings, and there's only so much physical stress a person like that can handle with travel and moving around and games. Having been a professional myself and having to travel, we were in New York and we had to travel as far as Los Angeles to play games in San Diego. And just in our league at a third division professional level in America, it is brutal with the travel, sleeping in hotels that weren't savory and spending the night on accident in airport because the flight got canceled and 16-hour bus trips. Like, it is absolutely brutal playing a pro sport. So adding on top of that, more tournaments, less rest. Number one, the quality of football is going to go down. Number two, you're going to see injuries of all the players you want to see play. And number three, it's just, in my opinion, that's unethical. Like, that's forcing these players to play more and more and more. If we start having more football tournaments, you're going to see players go on strike. It's going to happen. Almost, I mean, Rodri's talked about it. I think De Bruyne has talked about it as well. Pep Guardiola's talked about it. A lot of the City players have. But man, that's a freaking horrible idea. Horrible idea. No. Major international tournaments once every 2 years or whatever. Maybe some friendlies in between. Totally fine. Regular season, and players already have, especially at the top level, domestic league, domestic cup, and a European cup, and then international tournaments. It's too much. It's too much. Chimney Pabo, your ideal Frankenstein boot. Oh, here we go. Okay. Example, upper from boot X combined with a sole plate from boot Y, etc. Morelia 2 with alpha. So I'm going to keep on that one because I think that one would be super cool. GX2 upper with Hypervenom 3 sole plate, because I think a lot of the hate that comes from GX2 comes from the shape of the Luna 1 Cyclone 360 sole plate. And I think it's terrible, and I think it's trash. And although that boot fits me perfectly and I love it, the GX2 sole plate sucks. And if they put it on the Hypervenom 3 sole plate, just like they did the Hypervenom 1 remake, this with the GX2 upper would be a banger of a football boot, in my opinion. And then this is an interesting one, and this is super out of left field, but I would like to see, where do I have one close by? No, I don't. Bummer. I want to see, so I did a review on this that will be coming out tomorrow as of the filming of this video, or it was Friday of this past week. So you will see it sometime in the very near future. It's the soft ground version of the Skechers SKX. And on the soft ground version, they did the mixed stud razor sole plate on the SKX upper, and it completely changed the way that boot fit. The regular SKX, it's fine. It's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's also not terrible. It fits me well, like really well. I just don't really like the combination of the upper and the sole plate. It just feels a little bit disconnected. You put that upper on this sole plate, which is one of the better, more kind of ergonomic. It almost feels a little bit like Vapor 11 in terms of like you feel like you're kind of in it as opposed to just on it. Dude, different quality boot. Like really, really enjoyable to wear, especially in SG form on a soft ground pitch or on a firm ground pitch. But I think having a firm ground model with this sole plate on the SKX upper would actually be pretty sick. Okay. Mugen Slash. What shoes do you rely personally on match days, and are any of them Mizunos? So I haven't played a competitive football match since last year. It's been a while because I've been focusing on my business stuff and on triathlon. So, but I will tell you that when I did play, I switched every single game because, as I said before, I have a lot of boots to test and like really try to beat the crap out of. So I can't really, It's not that I can't afford to, because obviously I can wear one boot if I want to, but I chose to wear a different pair of boots every single game because it allowed me to give sort of match feedback. But now, because I don't play for a team at the moment, I might step back into it at some point. I've sort of been toying with the idea. We'll see. A few of the ones that I used to wear on a really regular basis were the Pred 24 and 25, GX2, Razor, Furon, Alpha, and Neo 4. I did wear the DNA as well, so Neo 4 and DNA and Alpha. So I wear quite a few Mizuno boots. I really, really enjoy Mizuno boots. DS Lite X-Fly Pro 3, Pro 2, Pro 2 I also wore, and X-Fly 5, obviously. So there's again, a whole range, but that's like a group of 8 or 9 that I sort of that are sort of my go-tos if I were to pick one. None of which are limited except for the DNA. So that's kind of gives you an idea. Like, I tend to wear just whatever normal stuff there is. PDHSLH, Monorcita or Morelia Neo 4. I love both of them. Because I fit in both of them, the Morelia Neo 4 is what I'm going to pick because the leather is a lot higher quality. And although the heel area on the Monorcita is better, in my opinion, the Morelia Neo is just a little bit lighter. It's a little bit more kind of agile feeling. It fits a little bit better, at least for me. But both of them are fabulous football boots. So on that note, if you are somebody who is on a budget, but you want the feeling of a Morelia Neo and have some of the similar kind of really premium leather quality and et cetera, the Monorcita is an awesome option. Wang Chen Kai 12.4. What camera and lens are you using right now? You are currently watching me on a Sony A7S III with a 12-24 f2.8. My Milan SL7. I'm playing Division 3 soccer this upcoming fall. How should I prepare this summer? Ooh, this is going to be a long one if I decide to go deep into it. Okay, so for D3, D1, D2, professional, whatever, preseason should look, generally speaking, as follows. Do your very best. First priority is to get on a team. So get on a USL team, USL2 team, get on an NPSL, UPSL, Sunday League, does not matter. Get on a team so you're getting game minutes, because game minutes will give you the best possible translatable fitness and touches on the ball to obviously being in season. The second thing I would do is get on a daily training schedule. So whether that's lifting, fitness, ball work, whatever it is, whatever combination of the three, yes, double days, all that stuff, your goal is to be as game ready as soon as you hit preseason. Don't use preseason as the excuse to get ready for your season. You want to be crushing it when you come into preseason, because the D3 seasons are so short. You have to come in flying. So I expect you to be doing 2. So I would say like, this is just what I did. So I'll give you what I did. I trained 2 nights a week and a game. So that's with a team, with a high level team with other Division 1 and Division 2 players. Obviously I played D3. So D1 and D2 players, so get around better players. I played on a team every summer in college. I did 2 fitness days a week in the morning prior to work, and then I lifted 4 days a week. So that's 4 plus 3 soccer sessions plus 2 fitness sessions. So that's 9 sessions, and I usually did those 9 sessions in 6 days, and then I had a day off. So it's double days almost every day. Or 4 days out of the week, and then you have your game day and et cetera. I used to do that every single off season because I knew that it would prepare me best for my actual season, which I came in flying, never lost a fitness test except for my senior year. And I know you're not watching this, but my good friend and teammate, Jacob Fritz, won the fitness test that year by like 2 sprints. And anyway, he was wildly fit that year. But anyway, never lost a fitness test. Same in my pro days. Never lost a fitness test other than that one senior year thing. So yeah. So not that fitness is the most important thing, because it's not. But that's just a metric for me, at least, to sort of, I knew that I was in match shape because I was playing every weekend, and I was even more fit because I was winning the fitness test. Felt my touch was sharp, and I was strong because I was in the gym and I was doing all the right things. And of course, diet and recovery. So do all those things. Walter in the box. When did you learn that you wanted to review football boots for a living? I wouldn't say that it was like a conscious choice. Like I want to, like, that's the goal. But I found that I was really good at it and I could make money from it. And then I could spin other business ideas off of it. And so that's kind of what really got me in the habit of being like, ooh, okay, maybe I could make this a career move, and then decided to do it. Trent asks, what's the next revolutionary boot technology that will take the world by storm? Ooh, I like this. So I thought of two, and I don't think these are specific materials. It's not like I'm saying Light Strike Pro or Air Zoom or Grip Knit or whatever. I think the two things that we're going to see are a movement towards what we thought carbon fiber was going to be, which is lighter and stronger material. So we're going to see an upper that's really thin and really light, but it's got a nutso tensile strength. So it's really strong and really capable, and it's super durable. So I think that's the direction that we're going to start to see technology move in. Like, I don't want to say aerospace grade tech, but kind of, right? Lightweight, super, super strong. I also think we're going to see a really cool movement towards what Skechers has done with Hyperburst Pro, what Nike has done with Air Zoom, and what I think other brands are going to start to do at some point, which is underfoot cushioning. I think we're going to see a lot of, well, Adidas did it with Light Strike. Light Strike is the same foam material that's in their running shoes, which is amazing. I use the Evo SL, Evo Pro SL, Pro 4 SL, something. The regular Adidas running shoes. I have the carbons and the non-carbons for my triathlon, and I love them. The Light Strike is it's one of the best running shoe midsole foams on the market. But underfoot cushioning in a football boot, I think, is going to be really interesting. And I think we're going to see a lot of people start to use that, whether it's just an insole that's a little bit more cushiony and a little bit nicer on underfoot, or we're going to see something like a sole plate that's got cushioning integrated into it, like we did with the Nike Air Zoom stuff. 8 Lee asks, one pair of boots you wish you had in your collection. Kind of already answered that, but I'll use the same one. I'll use a different one than the Morelia Ultralights. And again, this video is coming soon, but another teaser for that video for the Grail football boots. One pair that I wish I had in my collection is the black and blue, the like ice blue colorway of the not Phantom Ultras, Flyknit Ultras. That's one of the pairs that I wish I had, but they are stupid expensive, and you can't find any in a size 9 US, which is unfortunate. Mikula. Hi, any info about the next generation Morelia 5 beta? Worth waiting for the next generation or buy the current one? Buy the current one. I have no idea about the Morelia 5. The Neo 5 is probably a ways away, so I would not worry about it. Shane asks, I'm 17 and graduated high school. Do you think it's too late for me to go pro? No, of course not. But there's a lot of context and a lot of factors that I don't know about you that will make that decision and that sort of prognosis, I guess you could say, a lot more firm or a lot more confident on my end. That would be, what level are you currently playing at? What's your current, training schedule? Where have you played in the past? Are you going to college to play? Are you wanting to go straight into the pro game? 17 years old is people conflate this new, talk about Lamine Yamal, right? People conflate, oh, I'm not 15 and in a first team training session, so I'm never going to make it. No, I didn't go pro until I was 22. So it doesn't matter. There are players who go pro at 25, 26, 27 years. Jamie Vardy's a great example of this. He didn't go fully professional until I think he was 26 or 27, and he's still in the Prem. So no, of course you can play pro, but big asterisks that you're doing all the right things. Okay. Koa. Do you feel like long distance running, like half Ironmans you do, hinder soccer performances? Well, are you asking me for my life, or are you asking you for your life? Because if you're trying to get to your next level in footy, definitely Ironman half Ironmans are going to hinder your soccer performances. It's a totally different style of training. It's a completely different mindset and load on your body. Like, it's completely different sports. Endurance training is okay sometimes in like an off-season training schedule occasionally, but I don't recommend it. If you're asking for my life, like, am I sharper now that I've been doing half Ironmans instead of if I had just continued playing at like an NPL level or whatever, sort of full time, if you will? Of course not. Of course not. Like, I'm duller, if you will. Like, I still feel I'm probably 85 to 90% of what I was a year and a half ago when I stopped playing full time. So I'm still really sharp, but of course it's going to dull it. It's a totally different training, right? And now I'm Ironman fit, which is a totally different type of fitness. It's a totally different level of fitness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Pavlos asks, while playing football, how/when did you start to mentally slide as an athlete to having a business? That question makes it sound like you're saying, when did I start to lose focus on football and go into business? I would say, when did I start to add business to the football life that I was living? And I would say I really started to consider it in 2019. And then 2020, when I started the YouTube channel, that was like the kickoff, social media and doing content, and then starting my consulting business and et cetera, et cetera. All those things were 2020. So 5 years ago or so. And how did I do it? How/when? So how is, pro football, as much as it takes a lot of concentration, you have way more downtime than you think you do. And I honestly was just getting bored when I wasn't at training. So I was like, I got to do something. And then I did something that I really ended up loving. So that's awesome. Nico Raffo, maybe. Are you going to your hometown, Seattle, to watch some World Cup matches? I really hope so, but it's a raffle system, so I may or may not be able to actually get tickets. So we'll see. Colin asks, Neo or Alpha? For me, Neo 4. It's Dewey. Oh, Dewey, what's up, dude? What got you into doing triathlons? Good question. So I have an aunt or an aunt, if you will, my dad's sister. And I had a really good friend in college who also did them. And my aunt has done it for a very long time, competed in Ironmans and everything. And I really looked up to her because she was, even though she was older, even than my dad, like she's older than my dad, and yet still at this age continues to do triathlons and run Ironmans and do stuff. And that was really inspirational to me. And I also swam as a young kid, and I enjoyed football and running and distance running and stuff. So cycling was just something that I was like, okay, that I'm sure that's really fun. And triathlon was literally, since I was like 13 years old, has been something in the back of my mind that I'm like, Ironman seem like badass humans. Like, they train all the time and they're fit and they're healthy and they're happy, and they do it because they love it, and it's challenging and it does everything you need a physical activity to do, excessive physical activity. And ever since I was 13, it was always sort of in the back of my mind, like, ooh, okay, when I'm done with football, when I really have given football my everything, I'm going to switch over to triathlon. And literally 2024, January or February, beginning of February, negotiating some contracts here in the NPL. And it sort of hit me like a bunch of bricks. And I was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this full time. And within 2 days of telling the coach that I was about to sign with that I didn't want to play anymore, I was in the pool with my current triathlon team. So how good is that? Okay, let's move to, here we go. China Culdino. How would you train if you had to start over from scratch and get really good really fast? You can't get really good really fast. That's just how it works. Corona 303. Love your videos, Noah. Do you think Lamine Yamal will be the next Messi for Barcelona? Oh, cool. Here's this question. Okay, so comparing anyone to Messi is doing that player an injustice for who they are as a player. I don't think comparing Yamal to Messi is the way we should talk about him. I think we should just enjoy him for the player he is. The skill set that's different, the way he moves that's different, the impact that he has that's different. Messi was his own beast. CR7, Neymar in his prime, R9, all these guys were their own individual, unique, gifted players that worked their tails off to be where they are today. And I think giving Lamine the grace as a 17-year-old, we can't predict what he's going to is happen in the future. I mean, if we looked at Messi and at 17 years old when Messi made his debut, or maybe he was like 18 or something, and we were like, okay, in 20 years' time, he's going to be the greatest footballer that ever lived and ever walked this earth. No one could have predicted that. Respectfully, no one could have predicted that. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. JJ Ortiz, does the Hypervenom Hydra have a different upper than the normal version? Go check out my video. I share. I don't know how to pronounce that. What other crazy remakes could Nike potentially make? One close to the hype of Hypervenom. So this is an interesting question because the Nike Hypervenom 1 launched at a time when social media was exploding and we got all of these absolutely insane ads from Nike and Adidas and Puma, and the World Cup was being televised in more places, and Neymar was this new like social media character that we really hadn't seen before. He was a personal brand that we really hadn't seen before in the world of football. And so Hypervenom 1 came at this kind of perfect time of social media. People who wouldn't necessarily be paying attention to the boot world were now paying attention to the boot world, and the marketing. It was like this perfect storm of all these things. So in terms of a Nike boot that could actually bring more, also, and I mentioned this in it was either in the last week's episode or it was in one of the regen videos. But one of the reasons why this boot has so much hype around it is because Nike skin is such a unique sensation, both in hand and on feet, that we never had before and we never got afterwards. Like after the 2.5 generation, when they went back to the Nike skin with the Flywire cables, we never got anything close to this from Nike anymore. And so it's sort of, as opposed to other boots that I will mention in just a second, and I will name other boots in Nike's history that have been kind of similar with little tweaks. This was such a radically unique product that's why it carries so much hype, because people obviously at the time loved the boot and they loved who Neymar was as a player, et cetera, et cetera. But that material was so unique and still is to this day so unique that it carries with it a little bit more of that hype, along with all the things I said about social media. So the 4 boots that I came up with that I think would probably just absolutely dominate in terms of like a remake that they could do. Vapor 11, which I don't have an actual pair of Vapor 11s. There's a black pair of TechCraft Vapor 11s like up here, but those aren't really that close. The Tiempo 4 Elite, I think, with a carbon sole. And I know that Nike could produce a carbon plate that's a lot lighter than this, because this one's actually quite heavy, even though it is a carbon plate. Or maybe you do this upper with like the Hypervenom 3 sole plate, or the regular, or you just remake the regular Tiempo 4 or 5, something like that. That would absolutely crush, because this boot in particular with the Flywire cables was like this unbelievable kind of, we're now pulling technology, like modern tech, into leather, which we'd never seen before. This is an obvious one, but Superfly 4, I think if they did a 1-to-1 remake of this, or did like a updated carbon plate with the super, super thin 1-layer Flyknit upper Flywire cables, like this package would absolutely dominate, in my opinion. And then the other one is a Magista Obra. I think those are the boots that really, but again, all of those boots were that like 2013 to 15 era. It's just the world. Yeah. I mean, because I think in that era, they married hype, media, personal branding of players, technology that was actually functional. Because part of me said, go for like a Superfly 3 or something like that. But if they remade that, it'd be like what Nike did with the Vapor 1 regen. Like, people just don't like that boot. They never did. Sure, it's iconic and it's, the start of the technology of football boots, but like it's a shocking football boot in terms of performance. So those are my answers. Kim, will you consider doing a match analysis or football is video? Yeah, I did match analysis a lot while I was playing. So go back like a year or two in my videos, and I've got a ton of match analysis videos. CLTR, I don't know how to, Puya, F50 or Predator for wide feet? Predator. Ibsen, 39, thoughts about the new Phantom 6 lows and the way Unisport reviews the fit of it. Honestly, I don't care how Unisport or J-Mike reviews. I don't care how anyone reviews the boots. I don't know anything about the Phantom 6 other than some of the stuff that I've seen online, and I will review them when I get a chance to. Jamie asks, why do pros always stud convert on firm ground boots? Good question. So often with soft ground football boots, so let's use the example that I did before, which is the soft ground version of the Razor and the firm ground version of the Razor. In Skechers' defense and in their sort of in favor of Skechers, what Skechers did, I think, was really smart, which is they said, hey, we already have a really functionally good sole plate. Let's just do 6 stud swap and then use this same sole plate, but just have metal studs in 6 locations instead of the firm ground stud pattern. The reason most pros do that, at least from talking to professionals who do it and also from being a pro myself, the dedicated soft ground stud patterns are different than, and the lasting can actually be different than their firm ground counterparts. So if we got a dedicated Razor that was firm ground like this one and a dedicated soft ground Razor with a totally new soft ground stud pattern, switching between these two boots would be annoying because they would feel different in subtle ways that pros actually care about. Doing a stud conversion on a regular pair of football boots like this is like the most seamless transition you can possibly have between the playing experience of a firm ground boot and the playing experience of a soft ground boot. So that's why, in my opinion, and talking to other players, that's why they do it. Abdul Amani, do you think I should wait for the new Phantom 6 or just buy a pair for the current lineup? Dude, I don't know. I should have deleted this question because we already had that one. Quastabos 23, is your main income YouTube, consulting, mix of both, others? It's a mix of a lot of stuff. Thank you for asking. Chucky Vasquez, Adidas F50 remake or Nike Hypervenom remake? Oof. They are both fabulous pairs of football boots. This will be a question that I will have to evaluate in the top 10 boots of the year because both of those will be on the boot list. They are both really, really good. CV3 Rob, how did you get introduced to soccer football and what aspect of the sport do you love? Man, I have totally screwed up. That should not have been asked either. Okay. Jimmy, because I've already really answered that. Jimmy asks, how have the Hypervenom remakes lasted and how many sessions are you in with them? Okay, so I've had the remakes for a week and I've trained in them like 3 times and they're just fine, dude. The durability's great. I know a lot of people are going to be online chirping about, oh, the durability's bad or the glue or whatever. Dude, if you look at these, like, okay, maybe you can see a little bit of glue, like where the glue is supposed to be. I don't know what y'all are talking about, complaining about how there's like, yeah, there's a little bit of glue that sticks up above the sole plate. That doesn't mean that the boots are not put together in a good. People are so annoying when it comes. Is the durability of a brand new football boot going to be bad? Probably not. Probably not. It usually isn't. Like the times when a brand new football boot comes out and it's got a major defect, the last time we saw that was Predator 24 launch colorway. That was a year and a half ago. Or more than a year and a half ago, like almost 2 years ago. Yeah, a year and a half ago. And they fixed it in a colorway update. It doesn't happen all that often. I don't know what people are so up in arms about with the durability thing. Like, of course they're lasting. It's a brand new pair of boots. Unless I got a lemon pair, like unless I got an actual defective pair, which has happened to me exactly 0 times, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Okay. Yoshi asks, do you have a coach for triathlons or do you program everything yourself? No, I don't. I have a coach. I do not. I don't know anything about cycling. I don't know most things about distance running, and I know enough about swimming to program some stuff, but I have a coach who does everything for me. He's amazing. It's Jara Sport. Simon Knowles, who's a former world champion and Roth or not Challenge Roth. What's the word I'm looking for? Sunshine Coast and Mooloolaba, which is, what's the freaking triathlon? I can't remember. Anyway, he won a massive Olympic distance triathlon here in Australia that's like world renowned. He was part of World Championships before it was part of the Olympics, except like he was Olympic level essentially. Amazing coach, unbelievable human being. So yeah, Jar Sport is the group. Eduardo asks, should I use my hypervenom regens or just keep them on the shelf? I play on AG. What do you think I'm going to say? Come on. Eduardo also asks, is the hypervenom regen objectively a better football boot than the GX2? He also said /Phantom 6. As I said before in this video, I haven't reviewed the Phantom 6 yet, so I don't know. Is it better than the GX2? Yeah, I think so. The GX2, I love the knit material on grip knit. As you guys know, I've sung praises of grip knit. I love it. I think it's completely overused in the Nike lineup, but I absolutely love it for what it is. However, this boot just does everything that grip knit does, because it does have that grippy, waxy sensation, but it's thinner and it's got a better sole plate. So unfortunately for the GX2, as much as I really love that boot, the hypervenom regen is sensational. It's a sensational product. Chuck Novin asks, how much space are you supposed to leave from toe to toe box? So this is going to be a little bit of a personal thing per player. However, I don't know a single pro ever. And as you know, I pay a lot of attention to football boots. So I was constantly checking out people's, like, how they fit, what's going on. I would ask questions of players like, hey, can I like stand in front of me? I want to see like where your toes are, like that kind of stuff. Cause I really am fascinated by what players choose to wear certain boots and why, and sizing, etc. Your boots, like as a rule of thumb, pun intended, you should have no more of half a thumb's width. So maybe, what's like a good example of the width? Okay, here, actually, this is a great example. So this is just a pen, right? So this pen, there should be no more than a pen's length at the end. That's how I think boots should be. I have often less than that. So I often have less space than that. That's about, if you do this, it's about half a thumb's width. So just about there. That is like the least, that is the most space I would ever have in a football boot. My toes are usually right up on the end, like right up on the end. So that's where I would go for a space. Last question. Enzo Morales asks, do you think Mizuno Innovation Pack cleats are a good investment to resell? Yeah, depends on where you live. In Japan, certain models sold out really quick. In the Asian markets, same thing. There are still Innovation Pack boots in Ultra in like reasonable sizes. So I think, unfortunately for Mizuno right now, or I guess unfortunately for you, the Innovation Pack and Mizuno in general isn't at the level yet of hype that Nike is at and Adidas is at. So Adidas, unfortunately, has absolutely destroyed what their remakes are, unless they create something like the F50, which is really cool. But outside of that, Nike, like the regen, put it this way, the Mizuno Innovation Pack is never going to be as desirable as the Hypervenom, period. End of story. They will be really desirable for a very small niche of the market, but generally speaking, Mizuno boots often aren't great for resale because you can get them in most places depending on kind of what you want, I guess. So I wouldn't buy them to resell, particularly because you're probably going to be paying market value for them, and then you're going to try to mark them up when you can get them. And so that's like supply and demand doesn't work out that way. So, all right. I hope you guys enjoyed that Q&A session. Thank you again for 50,000 subscribers. Make sure you stay tuned and head over to my Instagram after finishing this. If you finished this video, I'd love for you to put what do we want? What emoji this week do we want? Let's do the alien emoji. Yeah, let's do the alien emoji. Silver, black eyes, little smiley. Let's do that one. So alien emoji, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I really appreciate you for being here. And as always, be awesome. Take care. I'll see y'all in the next video.